The retired teacher and school advisor has released the long-awaited sequel titled The Real President 2, Africa's Last Line of Defense. The two political fiction novels explore familiar questions many real African countries and citizens continue to grapple with today as they either fight to create a true nation state or face life as hostages in a tyrant's playground. Noah Kaindama joins us now from the United Kingdom to chat more about these books. Mr. Kaindama, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and very good morning to you too.
Now, let's start with you telling us a bit more about what these two novels are about and the inspiration behind the story.
Right. The inspiration for the stories comes from a conversation that I had with my children over the years, usually triggered by negative coverage of Africa in the Western media. So I realized that there was yearning in the children, and I believe in many other young people across Africa, for change in Africa, positive change. And so the books are written to them and the many other young adults across the continent. But you see, who brings the change? The people that bring change or that are catalysts for change are leaders.
Yes.
And those the voters that put the leaders into power. And so it is with that idea that I thought I should write something that will help the leaders of the future in Africa who bring the change. But we should also be aware that, the statistics tell us that the population of Africa is about 1.5 billion at this point in time. And the majority of these are young adults. So these young adults are going to take on the responsibilities of leadership at various levels very soon. Now the question is, are they prepared?
Yeah.
And the other question is, are there any role models that they can look to? Because many of the African leaders have failed the people. And therefore, if they copy the failed leaders, then the positive change that we expect in Africa will not come. So the books are therefore written to give the young people and future leaders a concept of leadership, and it puts the leadership into context.
And I suppose the title of the book, Mr. Kaindama, speaks to the reality that so many Africans, face on the ground. Let's talk about the significance of the title.
Right. Yes. The title, "The Real President," means the ideal president. And like we have already said, an ideal president is an ideal leader. Now, I believe anyone who is seeking the position of presidency should have some idea as to what leadership is all about. Now, I like a quote from a man called John Quincy Adams, who summarized the question of leadership. He said, if your actions allow others to dream more, to learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. And therefore, I believe leaders should be helping people, the people they lead, to be more, to dream big, and to be able to contribute to the country.
Now, Mr. Kaindama, the book is set in the fictional African country of Lubanda. Now, do paint a picture for us, if you can, of this place and why it's a place where real presidents are born.
Yes, it's a fictional country in Lubanda, somewhere below the equator. And the first book picks up the story at a point where the country was run down by a dictator. And so a young man who was in exile but had to rush home because parents were not well, sees that the conditions were dire. So he decided to put himself forward to challenge the incumbent, which was a very courageous thing for him to do. Mm-hmm. And so he goes to campaign and to ask the people to give him a chance. So that's the first book. And the second book picks up the story where this leader passes on the baton to the next leader, who also continues with the work that he was doing. However, down the line, events happen on the continent, which forces her to contribute her leadership qualities and abilities to solve the problems of the continent, hence the title.
Okay, and perhaps one of the key characters in the book is the president of Lubanda himself, Moses Kamau. Tell us a bit more about his so many perils we get to see him go through in this book.
Well, he is, like we have said already, he was in exile because he had some political views. And when he comes back, he lies low until the point where he decides to challenge the incumbent. So he starts from forming a political party, and then of course that leads to the elections. Yeah. And the contribution that he made to the country. Now, I can't give you more because I have to leave a bit of juice for the
for sure. For sure. And in the sequel, Mr. Kaindama, we get to see President Kamau stepping down, and the country has the first female president. Tell us more about this and why it was so important for you to highlight this fact.
First of all, I'm very excited about what is going on in Africa now, because we have a lot of women taking up responsibilities of leadership. So that is refreshing. Yes, she's a woman, and it just happens that she was the one who had the qualities that the President Kamau saw in her, and therefore decided to encourage her into a position of leadership.
Now, do unpack for us the core essence of the story that you are telling through these books. And I know that one of the central themes is about leadership. And in the same breath, Mr. Kaindama, you can also speak to us about your passion for leadership and what your stance is about the current state of leadership on the continent.
Right, yes, thank you very much. That's a very good question. I'm concerned about leadership because I believe everything, as I have said earlier, that the catalyst for change is leadership. So I feel the leadership on the continent has not been as effective as we expected. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the leaders have been what I call accidental leaders. They just happen to be there. They have no concept of leadership at all. So when they go there, the only concept they have is to lock up the opposition or to inspire their pockets. But then proper leadership should be concerned about the welfare of the people and then helping the people to make progress in life. If you look at the lives of most African people, is that we spend a lot of time struggling for the basic needs. And therefore, there's no time for self-actualization, where people are able to innovate and then to blow their imaginations, which we have seen in other countries that have contributed to the economies growing, and giving the skills to those who need the right skills, either to build services and products, or to be able to work in industries and create employment. Okay. But you see, leadership, African leadership, has not been so much concerned about this. It is more about the majority of the leaders having concern about themselves and what they benefit from there.
Okay. Mr. Kaindama, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we're looking forward to The Real President 3. Where can we get a copy of this book?
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. You can get these books If you want the soft copies, you can get them online from the online book places, including Amazon. If you want a hard copy, you can go to the bookshops.
Okay.
Now, if your bookshop hasn't got it, then tell the bookshop to contact Willow Trading. They'll get you a physical copy.
Mr. Kaindama, lovely chatting to you. All the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Thank you. That's retired teacher and school advisor Noah Kaindama, and he's been speaking to us about his books titled The Real President 1 and 2.